Hey everybody, thank you so much for stopping by at Masters of Improv. I am Lindsay Drummond, your MC interviewer. I'm also the owner, director, and head teacher at Improv Hub, Australia's only online dedicated improv school. So I'm very excited about this episode because I get to interview a true legend. That true legend is Patti Stiles. And Patti is an actor, improviser, director, teacher, author, and playwright who's been working professionally in theatre since 1983. She served her theatre apprenticeship at the world-renowned Loose Moose Theatre and was trained by the legendary Keith Johnstone. So we'll get into that in just a minute. If you haven't had a chance, make sure you go back through the playlist and check out Stephen Thornton and Andy Iniger, because there's some really great points in those interviews. So I just wanted to give you guys the heads up that I made a technical boo-boo in this interview. I forgot that on Zoom it records the way that you're saying it. So I pinned Patti, and she took up the whole screen. I forgot that I'd pinned her, and so you can just hear my voice in the background and see like a massive Patti, which is never a bad thing, to see like a full screen of Patti. That's always a great thing. So just to let you know, that goes for about like 10, 12, 14 minutes. After that time, we become a duo again. It was only afterwards when I watched it back that I realized sort of the irony of it, because in classes with Patti, one of the things that I really took away from her classes was how to do things in an unexpected way. And it was very unexpected when I watched it back, and she was like full screen, and then it went to duo. So I thought that was quite an ironic, funny thing. So without any further ado, enjoy this interview with the legendary Patti Stiles. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Masters of Improv. Now I know that, Patti's going to be like, masters, but I've told her she's just going to have to deal with it. She's a master, and that's that. Okay. So I want to introduce you to the amazing, the magical, incredible Patti Stiles. This is like a dream come true for me. When I first started my improv journey, doing the Johnstonian thing, when I was doing that, Patti's name came up as in, one of the magical characters of improv that, hopefully one day, I would be able to meet or learn from, because my teacher, Cam Percy, edified the shit out of you, Patti, to be honest. So that really sort of set me up. And then when I went on YouTube, I started watching stuff that you'd done, and I was like, there's something about this woman that's just, I don't know, incredible. That there's something, there's other layers going on to her understanding of the art of improv, basically. And then I got the privilege of doing a couple of workshops with you in Sydney in real life before the big P happened. And then the greater privilege again of doing some coaching with an ensemble that I was in. And that was online. So that's the background. Everyone should know that I don't have people on Masters of Improv unless I have actually been their student or worked with them or something like that. So yes, that was a long rambling thing. Welcome.
Thank you. That was very kind.
It's true.
Well, it's true. Thank you.
True. Okay, so let me let me begin. Okay, so I like to kind of take some things about the masters, all right, that I go, yeah, that's what I've really learned, or that's what I'm really interested in, or that's what I want to dive deeper into. And I've sort of come up with like 3 or 4 things that we're going to cover. So the first thing that I want to cover is how you're the queen of flexibility. Okay. And you are, yes. And not just in that way. So I feel like, and this is going to sound really full on, right? But I do feel like you're a quantum field player. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you've heard of quantum physics or whatever. I mean, some of it's bullshit, some of it's true, whatever, depending where you're hearing that from. But the sort of premise is that there are a million possibilities in one moment. And if anyone is like embodiment of that principle, it's you. That's how I feel. Tell me about possibility for you. Like, so you get what I'm saying, right? You just exude this, right?
I I think I've been trained to see the possibilities, because that was kind of the Loose Moose Theater experience. Was, we'd be doing something, we'd be playing with something, and there were so many possibilities that could come out of a moment. And sometimes we replay and try it differently, replay and try it differently, replay and try it differently. Or you'd be in a moment and then Keith would side coach or give a suggestion, or a player would come in and it would be like, whoa, of course, that's obvious. I just didn't see that angle. But when you're in that environment where the normal is just the sheer amount of possibilities, it helps to train your impulse and your eye to be aware of those possibilities. And it's something that, I'm not saying this to exclude anybody else, because of course I don't know every improviser in the world, but it is quite a common trait out of the Loose Moose Theater players, especially of, particular generations, that just really understanding the circle of possibilities for any offer. Yeah. So I think I've been when you've got someone like Keith, saying things like, confess this or try this or pull this out of your pocket, you're just like, oh, all the time. And then it just becomes your norm.
What really astounds me about you, though, is that it's not just, hey, say something else. Like, for you, the possibility is in relationship, it's in emotions, it's in space, it's in stance, it's in technical, like, side of things. So, have you thought of maybe doing this as just a voiceover? Or have you thought of doing a monologue? Or have you, so it's not just, oh, you could say something differently. And this is the thing, like, it's like you think on these multi levels. And it's awesome, like, to hear what that grounding was like with Loose Moose. I feel like, though, I don't know, like, you just have a talent for this as well, like thinking on many levels. And thinking about it as like an improviser, a writer, a director, an observer, an audience, a partner, like different perceptual positions. That it's almost like I feel that that is your massive strength, as far as I'm concerned. That you, at any time, it's not just, I could say this or I could say that. It's like I could say this like this from this place on this angle. Like all of that different stuff. So talk to me about that.
Again, it comes back to the Loose Moose experience. So we were using improvisation in a lot of different forms. So first off, in a theater sports show, it wasn't just, challenging and doing scenes or playing games. We were made aware of every component of the show. So how does the host influence the show? And how does the audience voting in the Danish game influence the show? And our sound improviser and our lighting improviser, how does that influence the show? Even how the audience came in. Keith would give us notes. For example, I was working concession one night and he said, when you give them change, in the day of money, when you give them change, if you actually make contact with them, they will have a different impression of the experience. They will feel warmth instead of just putting the money on the counter that will feel cold. So if you want your audience to be having an experience, everything we do is about making them feel welcome. The Loose Moose Theater serves popcorn. Why? Because the smell of popcorn is a different experience than going into the arts center. Because this wasn't culture. This was theater, but it was a different type of theater. So you come in and you're smelling popcorn, immediately you're thinking carnival and, fun. But these were the things that we were constantly made aware of. Then we had things like we had a trap door in the stage. We could roll up the carpet. A swing might lower from the roof. Someone might come out with a little Fred Flintstone car that you could paddle with your feet. It was, we're creating an experience for the audience. Theater has a lot of ways of doing that. So what does the story need? What does the audience need? How do we tell that story? We also, every show we got notes, and the notes would not just be on the narrative or the technique. It would be the air conditioning was on too long, it was too cold. The audience can't hear you in this back row. When you stand on stage in this position, you're actually blocking the people that are upstage. It was everything about what we were doing. At the end of the scene, someone left a chair on stage for the next scene. Well, the audience is focusing on the chair. Why didn't someone remove it? All of these things. Plus, we were doing scripted work. We were doing children's theater. We were performing in parades. We were doing touring shows in schools. We were doing sketch shows that we were writing and performing. So this theory was constantly applied. We were doing Mutiny on the Bounty, for example. Keith was writing a version of it in play form, and we didn't have the budget to have a bunch of costumes for the admirals when Captain Bligh went to the admirals. So Keith went, can we do a cardboard cutout like at a carnival where you put your head through in your hands? So it was, how do we solve the problem to tell the story? We need to have 10 official looking admirals. We can't pay for costumes. Great. Let's paint a board that we carry out. The admirals are, oh, yes, yes, oh, yes, yes, yes. And then we carry the board out. So there was an inventive problem solving, but that's looking at the offer and the possibilities of the moment. So
True.
That's what I was trained to do, trained to side coach off stage, how to judge, when to come into a scene, how to help a scene, how to end it with lights, when music is useful. All of that was a part of the training.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me as well like what's really going on is a training of awareness. So there's a very, very sophisticated type of awareness that's going on. So it's not just sort of like tunnel vision. I'm just thinking about like what I'm doing in this place. I think there's like I don't know if it's Hawaiian or something. There's a gaze that they call hakalau, which is like a soft gaze, which means that you can take in everything around you. So to me, it's almost like you said, the training was around an actual practice, like a spiritual practice or something like that, where there's a deeper awareness of like everything in the moment, so a mindfulness, everything in the moment, but then every possibility of everything in the moment.
Absolutely, because everything affects the show. Everything affects the moment. And every time we make a choice or add something to a scene or a show, we're inspiring the audience's imagination somehow. So the music you play before a show is already creating a comfort or discomfort for the audience. If you make them wait in line too long, like everything goes into their experience. And we were made aware of that. Also, the performers, we didn't show up and go through some magical stage door and were never seen until we got to shine in the light and then we were whisked away to the green room. We were taking tickets and working box office and concession and performing.
Yeah.
And that meant the audience was interacting with us. So they'd watch half of the show and then come out and you'd be there serving popcorn. And they'd be like, but you, what? It's like, yeah, that's what I do. And this is what I do. But even that changes the nature of the experience for the audience because you're not on a pedestal. You're one of them.
True. So, I mean, that leads me to another question. So bearing that in mind,
Mm.
that you're all of these sort of roles, how does that change for online improv, where it's not, you're not necessarily aware of an audience? I mean, the interesting thing is that I think it's been a fantastic test for people, because some people only do improv for the adulation of the audience, and suddenly there's an opportunity to do it for the art
Mm.
of improv, because you don't have that immediate feedback from the audience. That's a bit of a controversial statement, I suppose. And people may think, yeah, but the audience is another part of the show. So when you think of it in terms of Zoom Prov, or whatever you want to call it, online improv, what have been your sort of thoughts and feelings around that, and in the space of this, still keeping up this awareness? I tend to see people get a bit lazy online. So so yeah, what's your feeling about that, or your thoughts about that?
When it first started, I was really, ooh, hang on, everybody. Whoa, wait, whoa, hold your horses. Just because we were assuming that what we did on stage would just work.
Yeah.
And I was going, well, no, this is a different medium. This requires, you're not in physical space with someone, so that's a big change. And film is different than theater. How close you are to the camera is a different offer to the audience. Where you are in the frame is a different possibility for the audience. And I thought, let's explore it, but let's take some time to explore. I also recognize that it was a really scary time for a lot of people. And for a lot of people, improvisation is community and connection and friendships and play. And that's the most important thing for them in being an improviser, is that belonging and that connection. And in no way do I discount that. It's just a slightly different main objective than mine. I love the community, I love the play, but I'm a storyteller. I'm an actor. Improvisation is my chosen field. So it's just slightly different. So I recognize that people needed to connect at a time when the world was falling apart. People needed to connect. So in no way am I talking down about the exploration.
Yeah.
But what I've found funny is that, or interesting more than funny, after 2+ years, if we're honest with ourselves, with the amount of improvisers who have been performing online, the amount of groups, the amount of shows, if we look at how much exploration has been done, how much invention, it's a much smaller percentage. And I think that's a problem, because it's showing the way people are approaching it and what's going on in their brain, that they're not thinking of the possibility of the audience. They're thinking of themselves. And, for some people that will be controversial and they'll get their back up. And if you're improvising for yourself and your joy and your pleasure, because it's a hobby, fine. Does that need to be online, and do people need to pay for it? There's a difference. You wouldn't invite someone who read a plumbing book to just come by and have a go. Right?
Yeah, what? Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's just through here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a little leak.
Yeah.
See you in an hour, right?
Go for it. Yeah.
And it might be fine, or I'm not. But there's a possibility with online. There's exploration with online. Also, there's been a lot of classes and courses online about the online space, trying to encourage improvisers to even start a scene like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not sinking in.
Mm. Yeah, and that's curious to me. I mean, do you think it's the platform? Is it just that people are kind of used to when they're on a device that they're a passive sort of person rather than a generator? Like, do you think it might have something to do with that, or is there something else? I mean, obviously, your background in having that awareness and that awareness of possibility has really helped you online because you're just naturally going, oh, what can we do with this? What can we, do with this? Um, yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Uh,
I think some of it is because if you were to watch those people perform in physical space, it's a lot of standing and talking heads. It's a lot of duos or
mm,
two people scenes where people are primarily talking and primarily conveying all the information in words.
mm,
So because there isn't an acknowledgement of the possibilities of the space and the lights and the sound and the movement and levels and positioning on stage, if that is not in their awareness when they're performing on stage, well, this is very comfortable because you're doing the
mm,
same pattern. It's two people talking and
yeah,
everything's being communicated verbally.
yeah,
So I think it's actually showing up more that just how much pattern play is happening and
interesting,
how
interesting.
deeply ingrained these rhythms are.
Interesting. I mean, because I know, like for me at the moment, one of the most exciting ensembles is Murder Cats, because they're doing a lot of different stuff with technology. And I know that you've coached them, you've been in that process. And for me, that's a really good example. I don't know if anyone out there, just look them up on Facebook, of a troupe that has decided to use those proximity to camera, or just speaking
Yeah.
with a blank sort of stage, or lighting or costume, or different things like that, symbology, metaphor, all of that sort of stuff, which has been really exciting to see. But unfortunately, I don't see many uh, sort of troupes or ensembles that are really
Mm.
pushing the boundaries sort of as much as they are.
Yeah. And doesn't that make you just kind of sit back and go, so why are we improvising then? If you're not creating a world or a story or a possibility or an experience for the people watching, then why are we improvising?
Hmm. It's a dangerous
Yeah.
question.
It's an important question, but a dangerous one.
It's an important and dangerous psychological question.
And look, I have no issue with people who are improvising just because they enjoy it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people who start an improv class and they never want to be on stage, and they get swept up in the system around the improv class, and suddenly they're on stage because it's what they have to do to stay with the group. Um, and I question the logic of that. It feels a little bit manipulative in a way. Um, but also, largely they're performing for other students. And that's, of course, students are an audience, absolutely, but it's
mm,
it's a different type of audience, because the students will laugh at your line or your move or your bit. The
yeah.
audience doesn't know a
I
bit.
think you said in the book too. In the book, by the way, people, the book. In the book, you said something about too that other players know the mechanics of what you're doing, so they're also appreciating it on another level.
Yeah.
That an audience might not sort of get what you're doing mechanically.
Yeah, and some students, if they're watching players that they admire or teachers that they admire, you'll find students laugh at points to show that they saw it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
um, and this happens not just in improvisation, it happens in circus, it happens in theater.
In
You watch
comedy.
a group of,
Yeah.
yeah, you watch a group of people at a Shakespeare show, and you're going to hear someone laugh at some obscure line, and you go, yes, we all know that you know that. And that's fine. Maybe they did find it funny. Maybe they just want us to know that they know it's funny, whatever. But, people need to perform in front of audiences that, if you want to be a performer and if you want to create improvisation for an audience, you need the experience of performing in front of people who don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I did stand up like years and years and years and years ago, I had a partner, we did like musical funny songs and stuff. But her manager said to her one day, he's like, sometimes people are laughing, but not because it's funny. And she's like, but it can be like cringy. You know how people like, because someone will think that they did, like they killed because they did a dick joke or something, and it's like, yeah, they're just uncomfortable. Like they're kind of like, people are laughing because they're trying to break the uncomfortableness of things. So it's really interesting, which takes it back to that awareness, like having a bigger awareness of, are these people laughing because it is funny, or am I just like, what is going on in this?
Yeah, and laughter is not the sum total of all things.
Yes.
Now, if you're doing a comedy show, okay, if you're selling a comedy show, the audience is coming to laugh. Absolutely. If you're doing an improv show and you haven't defined it, you've just said an improv show, then you can play in a lot of different tones and emotions and responses. And comedy is one, it's just not the only one. And it's equally as gratifying to get an audience to gasp at the same time, or feel them all just kind of suddenly lean back or lean forward. That's the same thing as getting the audience to have a group laugh where they roar at the same time. 3 or 4 people laughing in the front row because they're awkward or they know you, that's a reaction. But it's not the same as that roar, which is glorious.
And it's a lot of the time too, in that situation, it's not just because of a punchline. Like there's a kind of there's more going on in why that's funny, or what that is,
Absolutely. And again, that's awareness, right? If you watch, kind of classic vaudeville shows, not every single act was comedy. You needed to put something in between the comedic acts so that the audience could have a breather. And that would help establish a nice platform for the next comedic act. And a lot of comedy shows, I don't think they realize the skill and the craft of that. If you're just constantly pushing, the audience will get exhausted.
Yeah. There's a musicality to it, I suppose. And probably even within a scene, there's a musicality or a harmony that sort of has to happen for it to move and have movement. Which is something that I think with your flexibility, as we were talking about, just to bring it back round again. I love it how my eye decides right now it's a good time.
I didn't mean to make you cry.
Oh, it's so sad. So coming back to the flexibility thing too, and how you have all these different ways and levels of moving or making movement, because there is something, especially in the book, that basically is around action as well, and fear of action and all that stuff, which we can sort of get to in a minute. What I wanted to do was, because I do have a lot of dog ears in this book. I don't know if the audience can see, but there's a lot going on there. And what I really wanted to do is just like give an actual concrete example of how like thinking about possibility, can just move the scene or change the scene or create something new that wasn't there before. I think if you got the book there too, it's 95, I think page 95.
Okay. 95.
This is the bit where I need my glasses.
Oh, they're
Um,
nice.
yeah, I like them. They're cool. See how I just took that compliment? I didn't try to push it away or block it. Um,
Is that a that's a subtle reminder on the master's line? Patty, just take the compliment.
yeah. All right, so it's page 96, and
96.
basically, I think it's like one, two, three, four, fourth paragraph down. Um, so the instruction is, do you want to read this out? Actually, why don't you read this out? So you're basically saying if you say this line, these are the different ways that you could. These are the different possibilities for that line. For what do you think?
Cool. Did you want me to start with if an improviser said?
Sure.
What is that? Is that where you want me to go?
Oh yeah, do the whole thing then. You do it from there. Write it down. Yeah, for another two paragraphs.
Okay. Okay, children, settle in.
Settle in, darlings.
um, if an improviser said, "What is that?" we could side coach them to scream, say the line, and point. The pointing and screaming adds physical and emotional offers with commitment, which may trigger their imagination or that of their partner. If the improviser looks lit up after they say the line, you could say it's a ... and see if they will take the next leap. If they say, "What do you want to do?" side coach, say it again and wink, or say it again and gulp while slowly backing away from them. The wink and the gulp are physical offers that add intention, a glimpse of the character's emotional state, and create a mystery or promise which will stimulate their and their partner's imaginations. If they said, "What do you think?" you could side coach, say it again with a cold stare and draw your sword, or say it again and burst into tears falling to the floor, or say it again with a wizard's voice and stroke your beard, or say it again and emphasize each word slowly. Each of these provides offers to stimulate the imagination.
Awesome. So in the context of that in the book, you're talking about igniting someone's imagination, but before that happens, you're in that field of possibility.
Yeah.
Like
So in
yeah,
that, I'm talking about when players are wimping and they're asking questions, and people say, "Oh, there's a rule: don't ask questions," which I think is unhelpful because we ask questions all the time. So it's not don't ask questions, it's why is the improviser asking questions, or
mm,
why is the character asking questions.
mm, mm,
Now, if the improviser is asking questions because they're trying to avoid responsibility or they're afraid and they don't know where the scene's going to go, that's when you're going to get questions like I've just said. What do
yeah,
you want to do? What do you think? Because
yeah,
what the improviser is basically saying is, help me, guide me, tell me where we're going. So we can have them use that line, but if they say, "What do you think?"
yeah.
then it doesn't look like a wimp, it looks like an offer.
That's right. Yeah, true, totally. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And because they're probably asking questions and wimping because they're afraid of being wrong, if I say, don't ask questions, it's a rule, don't ask questions, so just don't ask questions, that's going to make them feel more afraid because they
Yeah.
didn't want to be wrong. Now they're wrong. But if I say, "Hey, say that again," with a wink, they're going to see their partner react. Then they're going to go, "Why did my partner react?" Then they start learning the joy of you give offers to stimulate your partner's imagination or to give them something to react to.
Mm.
And they'll start feeling the difference of that. But, so many improvisers are either not taught or don't choose to play or simply forget the power of a physical offer, the power of an emotional offer. Stories move forward when the characters are changed. And
Mm.
part of that change is emotional change or a change in status. But if I say to you, "Oh, that's really upsetting," and I'm not upset, it doesn't appear like anything happened in the story.
Mm. So again, that's like because so you're not necessarily having to move the story forward or create action by literally sort of creating action. You can do it by reacting.
Yes. So if you react to something I say, then we have interaction.
Mm.
Interaction is action.
Yeah, so that's really important. I really think that's something that a lot of, especially beginners, I guess, even intermediates, I guess, maybe even some advanced, don't don't understand. It's interesting.
Yeah. So if we're playing, high status, low status, and one of us changes our status, that's a reaction that immediately creates the scene gets active at that point because we're
Mm,
having an interaction,
mm, mm,
right? And you can do that to an object as well. So if you watch Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton, they're reacting to objects and situations around them, but that creates an interaction between the character and the situation or the object, or right, and immediately makes the scene active. Charlie Chaplin runs into a lion cage and he turns and the door's locked, and now he's interacting with the door, but
mm.
it's moved the story forward because we know he's stuck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, an interesting little exercise that I think it's a Johnstone thing is Death in a Minute. And that, is a lot of that works because of the reaction of the other person once the person's dead, right? But so many times you
Mm,
get, oh yeah, he's dead. Oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to go shopping now next week, and it's like, he's dead.
yeah, but that shows exactly how we do not want to be changed.
But
So
what is
being in
that? Come on, tell me, what is that? What do you think that is? Like on a psychological level, what is that? Is it control? Like, what is it?
it's the pressures of society. I mean, look at how many times people are checking themselves in the windows of stores as they walk down the street. We have learned to create societal masks that keep us safe in the world.
Mm,
And standing in front of a group of people is not a comfortable place for most people. It's a great fear. Public speaking or performance is a great fear for people. And it's because you're put in front of the pack to be judged.
mm,
So when we're put in front of the pack to be judged, our society mask we hold on to even more. But stories are about when those masks crack or
mm,
fall or alter or disintegrate, because that's when we learn about the human condition. That's when we learn about what would happen if,
mm.
you're walking down the street, you slip on a banana peel. If you slip on the banana peel, get up, wipe your bum and keep walking, the audience would go, well, why did we watch that? Right? If you walk down the street, you slip on the banana peel and you bounce and go, wee, the audience will laugh and go, oh, good, it's a comedy,
Yeah,
right? If you're walking down the street and you slip on a banana peel and you scream in pain and grab your hip, now we're watching a tragedy.
yeah.
But it's the same action. One had no reaction.
Mm,
One had I'm okay as the character, but I've reacted.
yeah.
And one has I am hurt. So it elicits sympathy and concern.
So it's almost like
So
you're saying an interaction with the banana peel is creating the action rather than the person who keeps going is blocking the banana peel, basically. Like that didn't happen.
yeah,
Like
and
I'm
that
just
keeps me
gonna,
safe.
yeah.
If I slip on the banana peel, get up and walk away, I've revealed nothing. I haven't been
Mm,
changed. My
mm,
society mask is fine.
mm,
You haven't seen me be affected by anything. So I'm not going to interact with anything. And there's a lot of improvisation, which is two people fighting for control of the scene and fighting for control in a way of each other because
mm.
they don't want to be changed by the other person.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's because they're afraid of it. And when you learn the joy of being changed, oh, it's so freeing. Because that's when the possibilities of the stories open.
Mm,
Because there's 1,000 ways you can react to that banana peel, right? You walk down the street, you slip, you fall, you try to get up, but the banana peel is holding on to you, saying, I love you. You walk down the street, you slip and you fall, and the banana peel picks you up and carries you off. You walk down, like there's just, You walk down the street, you slip on the banana peel and fall, and all these bananas come at you and murderer, and they accuse you of killing their friend. You walk down the street, you slip on the banana peel, and it continues like a toboggan, taking you down roads. There's just so many things you can do. But if we avoid the interaction, if we avoid being changed, then we struggle for a new idea, or we struggle to have to justify the why. And we've just stopped ourselves from enjoying our own imagination and creativity.
So is that what it's about? Is it about enjoying your own imagination? I mean, like you just rattled all that shit off, like just bang, bang, bang like that, because I don't know, you're just very open, which is kind of, I guess, the opposite of that mask and trying to be okay all the time. So, I mean, is there something around just being okay with not being okay?
I think it's understanding the craft of being a performer.
Right. Talk to me about that.
Well, as a performer, I'm a storyteller. I'm taking on characters. I'm playing the stories. In order for the stories to have action, it needs interaction. In order for the stories to have point or evolve, they need characters to be changed. And this is not just dramatic, this is comedic as well. I mean, look at Seinfeld. They were changed almost every line. Right?
Yeah.
The waitress comes over and puts the bill down, and George would be changed about where she placed the bill on the table. It was at him. It was at Jerry. It was with a stomp. She didn't look at him. She did look at him. Her tone of voice, the paper was ripped. The paper had coffee on it, but he would react. And then the scene would move forward.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right. And it happens all the time. But if we're fighting to keep control because we're afraid of revealing anything to the audience, that's the gap between you as a person in life and being able to step into the job and the craft and the expectation of being a performer. I know that I can slip on the banana peel. The bananas can put me up in front of their court of justice and accuse me of killing a banana, and I have to fight for my life. And I'm still going to have a drink with the cast after the show and go home. Because it's pretend. But my job is to pretend fully so that the audience believes the pretending.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's also application for that, even that goes beyond the performance as well, though, because you're still training yourself to be okay with yourself, with your own ideas. I think there's an emancipation that would come from that. That's a psychological emancipation.
That's what should be taught in the first classes of improvisation. When we first start teaching improvisers, there's a journey that they need to experience. And that's learning to trust their imagination, learning to share their imagination with others, and that others won't scoff at them for having creativity, and learning how to accept other people's ideas, even if it's not what you thought or how you perceived it or what you expected. And that the unknown of that is okay.
Yes.
The unknown of that is joyful and creative, and it's safe because it's pretend. And, through that give and take of experiencing these things together, we start building trust.
Yeah.
And this goes beyond just simply saying yes.
Yes.
Because I've seen a lot of people saying yes, and they really are blocking and treating people cruelly. This is underneath that. And when you start developing that, you also should spend time on learning what your partner enjoys, learning how your partner's imagination works. What would be fun for your partner? because part of my skill is not just to go up on stage with funny lines. My skill is, how do I trigger your imagination? Because then I'm not thinking about what's going to happen next. I'm going, here's a banana peel. What are you going to do with it? Cool, that's what we're doing. So if I can stimulate your imagination and we're all working on this shared creative stew, then we might actually do something we've never done before and explore something we've never explored before. And yet a lot of improvisation happening right now is just regurgitation of stuff that's been happening for 35 years. Something's wrong.
The interesting thing about the igniting the other player's imagination is that there is an awareness and a focus on the other player. Somebody said to me once, look, if you're really fascinated with your partner, you don't have much room left in your brain for all the other shit. You know what I mean?
Wow.
You're really, your focus is on them, and your focus is on being fascinated by them and making them light up. So you don't have all the room left for all the self-criticism and is this right and should I and
Oh, that's good. I thought they were saying you don't have room in your brain from all the other shit, meaning all the things you have to do. Oh, good. No, I like them. I like that.
Yeah.
But it's true. If I'm focused on my partner, then my radar isn't focused on my own fears.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And it's fun if you start going, ooh, I'm curious. I wonder what you'll do. I wonder what'll happen. It's, it's a joyful place. And I know there's some fear in that for a lot of people because they haven't played in safe spaces or, with people who are safe. And you always have the power to stop a scene. You always have the power to say, nope.
And on Zoom, you can just just get out of the room.
Well, on stage, you can just make it.
Easiest.
Yeah. And on stage, you can just make an exit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right? And if you don't know how to respond, they say something and you go, woo, you can just say, hold that thought and leave.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, cool. So I just want to spend one more little thing from the book about, again, that possibility of the many possibilities of offer, like in the moment. And I think it's 175. Let's have a look. 175. Okay, cool. Okay, so you were talking about the who, the crow thing, the who, what, where thing, and you don't necessarily, that's not that important if you're really in the moment and you're in with your partner and you're fascinated by your partner. But if you are going to name, then you may as well take as many possibilities in that moment as possible. So I thought that it was really, really, really cute. You've got these point forms here of the different ways that you would be able to begin with different names. So do you want me to read it this time, or?
Yeah, I'd like to hear someone read it.
You can hear your words. Because we know that we have to name our partner before we can begin improvising, we get it over with quickly. But names can inspire, names can carry weight, names can be weapons. They can be a doorway, not just a doormat. So, for example, Gray, I have something to show you. Madame de la Montrose, I have something to show you. Hey, Toots, I have something to show you. Archbishop, I have something to show you. Prime Minister Wigglebottom and Deputy Flap Happy, I have something to show you. So you can endow status, relationship, position, language, and culture. Every offer influences the story and your partners. Every offer is an opportunity. And so even just that, even something as simple as that, like, so if you're kind of like, oh, I can't do emotion, and all this, like, even just like going, who could this person be? Like, let's get really creative with it, and who could they be? And then, like you said, endowing them and igniting their imagination. Like, I would love an offer like that. If somebody called me Prime Minister Hinglebottom, blah, 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 I'd be like, let's play.
Because it inspires your imagination. You didn't think you would be that person, and you hear that name, and you're like, "What does that person do?" And that's the point of it. At the beginning of that passage, you said, "Because we know we have to name each other." Now, that's making reference to the rule: always name each other.
Yes.
I don't feel that you always have to name each other because
this is fraying, improvising freely from the rules, just to remind everybody.
Because scenes with strangers are really powerful.
Yes.
So naming people, yeah, sure, if needed, but other scenes not so. And sometimes we don't need names. We just need to know the relationship. If you call someone, aunt or uncle, it still establishes a connection. So it's understanding that if you give a name, it's an offer. And if you don't give a name, it's an offer. And if you give a relationship identifier, it's an offer.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of offers to play with. So if you enter a scene and I go, "Hello, Prime Minister Wigglebottom," I'm giving you an offer, but it's not just Prime Minister, which is status. It's Wigglebottom, which is silly.
Yeah.
So what's the possibilities of that scene if we're playing status and silly? Well, it's cartoony, it's Monty Python-esque, it's, a little bit of, it could be a bit exaggerated, because the name Wigglebottom is exaggerated.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it's an invitation.
Yes.
Right? Now, you might play it super serious. I'm Prime Minister Wigglebottom. And that might be good. Okay, point, counterpoint. You play serious. The rest of us are going to laugh every time we say your name, but not be caught.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But everything is a key to a door of wonder. Everything is a possibility. And I see so many improvisers walking into scenes and going, "Roy, can you go and do," and they're saying it because they've been told, "I have to say a name." Kick, off we go. And there's no awareness of just the possibility.
Yeah. I mean, as you mentioned before, and I kind of like strangers kind of scenes, and your stuff with Joe Bill, the Our Play, quite a few of those are stranger-based scenes. Like you start the scene as a stranger, and there's so much possibility in that and where you can go, and there's a lot of connection, like beautiful connection. But again, it's staying away from, you've got something in the book which I found quite fascinating. I'm jumping ahead here, but I'm just going to do that. About the transaction scenes, and about really like investing in transaction, but taking it to a new level, and again, we're still talking about possibilities here. There's this beautiful thing. I love this. I mean, I was almost crying reading this. This was just beautiful. On your page 189.
Bingo. Sorry.
Yes, bingo. You've done it. So this is the little story about you when you worked for a short time at Ticketmaster on the phone lines. It starts at the very bottom of page 188, and then it just goes to sort of like the quotation. Would you mind reading that? Because I think I'll probably cry if I read it. So would you mind reading that as an example of a thing, something that could be, and this is a real life thing, but this could easily be a scene, like you say in the book here. This could easily be a scene. So for a short while, I think is the beginning of the thing on 188.
For a short while, I worked on the Ticketmaster phone lines, selling tickets for concerts and events. One day, I was serving a client who wanted to buy tickets as a gift. I was going through the options when, without warning, they broke out into tears. Slowly, they regained composure and apologized. They explained they were terminally ill and wanted to do something nice as a thank you for their carer while they were still able to make decisions. We spoke for over an hour, carefully taking time to slowly go through each option and leaving space for tears and talking when needed. Most calls last 5 to 10 minutes. This is a real life example of a transaction scene. And then I put, I am grateful for that moment with that person and thankful that writing the book has made me think of them again. And I am.
Beautiful.
That was a very, very special moment.
Beautiful. And again, the possibility of the moment, the deep listening. What does this scene need?
Yeah.
What does this space need? Yeah.
Absolutely. Transaction scenes, I mean, you can make them about the transaction. Of course you can. And you can have fun with the transaction.
Yeah. Like game of the scene and stuff, you can do like that kind of, transaction game of the scene stuff.
Oh, well, again, Seinfeld, in the soup kitchen.
Yeah.
That's all transaction.
No soup for you. Yeah.
Right? You go to buy soup and someone yells at you, you're not allowed to have soup, but everybody else can. Like, what?
Yeah.
So there's possibilities, but it's still about interaction. So is it interacting with the soup? Is it interacting with the customers? Is it interacting with the routine of the soup? Is it, where's the interaction which will create the action? And in this Ticketmaster example, here I am, normal day, phone line, it's random who gets what call. This person calls, I'm going through the script. Well, there's this seat and this, and someone cries. They're affected, they're changed. Their emotional change changed me. That creates an interaction. Now,
but also you let it change you though. You let it change you though. Some people might not.
Yeah.
Yeah. See how you just go, yeah. Of course. No, what I'm saying, good. Some people might not. They might not let it change them.
And you are in a work environment, and there would be expectations. Yeah, I think I have my parents to thank for this one. A human being is always more important than a rule. And if my boss got mad at me because I looked after someone and was kind, I'll take that heat. But I've got my mom and dad to thank about for that, because they would frequently make those choices and take heat in different ways. But so this person was changed, I'm changed, and that immediately makes the scene active. It breaks the routine of buying tickets and now makes it about a moment, an extraordinary moment in two strangers' lives, that through the transaction of buying tickets, we're actually learning about this person's terminal illness and where they are in the terminal illness. And, the decisions one makes as they're getting, to a point where maybe they're not going to be able to make decisions. So through a transaction scene, we actually get to a big theme of life, a big question that people have, an experience that, many of us have come close to or dealt with one way or another. That's good theater, because theater reflects life, be it comedic or dramatic. It does. The best laughs are on, based on truth, based on recognition. Del says on truth and Keith says truth and recognition. We know that. Well, where does that truth come from? Where does that recognition come from? Life and the stories we all have and share. Which is why we need to be able to step into them.
True. I mean, it just fascinates me that something like buying tickets, could become such a metaphor and can become such an engaging kind of poignant moment.
Yeah.
But
Even
again,
talking about it,
yeah.
I was going to say, even talking about it, I can picture exactly the computer I was on, where I was in that room, watching my boss, because they've got a computer in the room. They can see how long you're on each call. And the boss coming out and looking at me and then going back in and coming out and looking at me. And so I could feel the pressure that was going on around. Yeah, like just talking about it, it's like, whoom, I'm right back there. Yeah.
Yeah, it really stuck out to me in the book. And like I said, I teared up about it. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it is that truth, that we're kind of, well, hopefully trying to go for, trying to aspire to, or be in the moment of, or let go of the shit that doesn't belong there, or, whatever that is, whatever that process is. It's a bit of a mystery, and it's probably different for everybody. How to be vulnerable, and to be in that moment. But yeah, I really wanted you to read that because it's just beautiful. It's just so beautiful.
Thank you.
I do have something, and I have no idea what this is because, like, who knows? Who knows? Because look at this. Have I told you this? Have I showed you this? Who knows what this is? But we're just jumping, and I'm about to justify it. Okay.
Jump and justify.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's just basically, yeah. So this is off the back of that, really, but it's a different page. I'm going to read it so you can hear your words. So wait a second. Scenes about humanity that can connect with the audience and reflect the trials, tribulations, injustices, or humor of life. That sounds hard. It's not hard. It's a joy. It's the beauty and magic of theatre. Transaction scenes offer us endless and exciting story possibilities. And here we are with Seinfeld again. Seinfeld was filled with transaction scenes. We learn more about the characters and their way of seeing and coping with the world around them. So, yeah, I think that's really, again, going into, and this is classic Patti, the queen of possibility and flexibility, going into the possibilities. Something that looks like it's mundane can be magical. It can be, there's opportunity in everything,
Well, any book that you read, any movie that you see, any TV show, there's a mundaneness in there, routines that they create and then break the pattern of the routine. And how they break that pattern is usually a character being changed, which creates interaction and action. So be it, Mr. Bean trying to stuff a turkey, and then he ends up with it on his head. Or, Romeo and Juliet's chance meeting at a dance. We're endlessly fascinated by each other. And a transaction is where we have two strangers. And it's funny because we talk a lot about transactions when we're talking to friends. People will say, oh, well, I, called up this helpline and they weren't very helpful. Or, I went to the supermarket today and this happened. Or I was driving and someone cut me up. We're sharing these chance encounters with strangers and how they've changed us, how they interrupted our flow of life, or how they helped us or didn't help us. And a large majority of those are transaction scenes. So why on earth are we saying don't do transaction scenes? I think it's because people have been told you have to talk about everything in the scene. So they stand there and they simply talk about buying tickets. I would like 2 tickets. Where would you like them? In the front row. And then they try to make fun of tickets or try to find the humor in tickets. And, there could be humor there, but there's all these other possibilities of this interaction with strangers. You go to get a bank loan, for a mortgage, and you've got the hiccups and you can't actually talk. That's a transaction scene, right? But the transaction is the routine. You break the routine with hiccups. Your reaction to the hiccups and the other person's reaction to the hiccups creates the action in the scene because you're interacting. Now you've got something that the audience wants to watch. Why? Because we all understand being embarrassed. We all understand being in a situation that we have to put our best foot forward and we can't. There's the truth. There's the truth in the comedy. And if you flipped it, if the bank manager had hiccups, we all understand having to pretend it's okay because we need to get the loan.
Yeah.
And if they hiccup at the time where it's the important points, and then they say, do you agree? And you don't know what you're agreeing to. We understand that. And then there's the social pressure. Do I say yes or do I ask you to repeat it? But there's the truth in that comedy, and it's a transaction. But transactions can have a lot of joy. You just have to create interaction between the characters or interaction with the transaction. But that requires someone to be changed. And that's why transaction scenes are hard for a lot of improvisers. They don't want to be changed.
Yeah. We're back here again.
They don't want to put on clothes and suddenly feel amazing, or put on a jacket and break down in tears, or but if you did, and then you explain it, so you jump by being changed, then you explain it, you'll find the scene. Why are you crying? Because you put on this jacket. It reminds you of ...
Yeah.
Or I never thought I could ...
Yeah. I mean, look, this conversation could go on for about 5 hours. So, I'm gonna move the action forward, to call it out, Patti.
Okay.
So this is like something that I call you is call it out, Patti. Whether it's within a scene as part of the scene, or whether it's you as an actor utilizing the character to call out something you're seeing as an actor, you are really good at this. I've seen you do this over and over and over again. And then you do have an example in the book where you don't like call it out as the actor. You create a situation where the behavior is called out. And so that was so you, in one of the coaching things that we did, because I always took notes and stuff, so I've got little quotation marks around this, and you said, if they aren't present, poke them. Right?
Yeah.
And then so that brings me to page 61.
And you can poke them in fun ways. You can poke them by making a face behind them because the audience react, and they won't know what the audience reacted to. You could just walk a little too close to them, or leave the stage and wait for them to realize you're not there, or start hiccuping or humming or anything because if they're not present, they're probably thinking forward. They're trying to plan, or they're stressed and they're worried and they're scared. So, doing something to shake their head back into the present is just looking after your partner.
Yeah. In this particular example, I think you were looking after you, which you have every right to do.
I think I know the one that's coming.
So 61 is the page. And it has been set up that you're in a festival in Europe. It's a bit of a pub prop show. The cast is mixed players. Various companies are playing. And then there's this that happens on page 61, and you've got him, me, him, and then an explanation. So I'll be him.
Okay.
Hi.
And how will I do the brackets? I'll just
say the aside. Yeah, say the aside.
Okay. Sorry. Can we go from the top?
Sure. Hi.
Hi, honey. Aside, I walk over and hand him a drink. Guess what? I've been offered the position of partner at the firm. They're going to put my name on the door. Finally!
Oh,
Aside, I hold
yes.
up my glass to toast.
Yes, powerful women are sexy. Come here. Okay, so that's lovely. Beginning of a scene, rubs his crotch. So he rubs his crotch and he gets a laugh from the audience, right?
Yeah.
Now, and just to put context to this part of the book, we are talking about here about the danger of yes-anding as well. Okay, but the reason I'm bringing this up as an example is because it is a call out on behavior, but through a scene, which is a very like smart thing to do. So you decided to do this, right? So you've got May down the bottom there.
Yeah. So we'll continue with the scene.
Yeah.
So he's rubbing crotch. Oh, honey. Aside, I walk towards him sexily. Wait, did you just rub your crotch?
What? He's surprised the tables have been turned on him. No, I didn't scratch. Realizing the implications of the offer, he now backtracks, not wanting to be endowed as having an STD in front of the audience of men.
Really? Well, let's check the home cam, shall we? Opening my computer.
Home cam? What home cam?
The one I had installed when I suspected you of having an affair. Why, look, you did scratch yourself.
No, what? Look, no, I don't have STDs, okay? He's a bit panicked now, and his desire to make you feel like a sex object is no longer in the scene.
What STD? You are having an affair. I'm handing him something.
What is this?
Divorce papers. It's good to be a high-powered lawyer. Damn, I feel sexy. End of scene.
So instead of just yes-anding, which you could have done, it's like there's a meta game that's going on. So you've noticed this behavior of the performer, the player, and then because you're flexible, Patti, you've just gone, okay, like I'm going to take the opportunity to do this and call it out.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on in that scene. First,
it's a feminist's nightmare.
Well, it's he's not applying. He's not coming into the scene to play with me.
Yeah, not well, in a different kind of way.
No, he's coming into the scene for his self-gratification.
Yeah.
Because he's blocking the offers I've made.
Yeah, and you had a strong offer, like right off the top.
Yep. Hi, honey. I've been offered this position at the law firm. I'm giving him a drink. I'm raising a toast. Finally I get this. So this is now the platform for the audience as well.
Yeah.
They hear this. This is the promise of the scene. So for him to say, powerful women are sexy, come here, he's thwarting my status. He's attacking my job opportunity. He's not even toasting back.
Yeah.
What he's done is he's taken my offer of we are equal and I've just got a promotion and gone, nah, you're going to be the sex object and this scene is about that, which was not the promise of the scene.
What was going on in your mind at the time?
A lot of things. First, it's taking care of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So the offer that he presented, which was canceling offers I had presented, made some of the drunk guys in the bar laugh, but also made a lot of other people feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Next was the storyteller. It's like, okay, what's the possibility of this offer? So we've now got kind of two platforms here, two things that are in collision with each other. I could have gone, Did you hear what I said? I got a promotion, which is
Yeah.
me fighting for my idea.
Yep.
I suspect he probably would have, gone, yeah, let's get it on, because he
Yeah,
would have
yeah.
kept fighting for his idea.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So at some point, this needs to be a scene. We need to bring the offers together. So, okay, you want me to be sexy. I'll play sexy, but now we've got a pattern. I'm home, you've come home from work, I've given you a drink, you've called me to have sex. How do I break that pattern? How do I break the pattern of us being a couple? Well, what happened? What's the obvious? You just scratched your crotch at me. That's a pretty big offer. It's
Yeah.
not sexy. You didn't, kind of undo your pants or put on music, or it was scratching,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So what's the
So you
circle
called it
circle
out.
of pos
You called it out. You
I
got a
used
fucking
it.
STD.
I
Or
used
you've
it.
been scratching yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to introduce scratching yourself and sex, then in the circle of possibilities of someone scratching their crotch and introducing sex is STDs. That's obvious in that circle,
Yeah, yeah.
right? If I ignored his lewdness and the scratching and just went, "Oh, honey, I love you," the audience would go, "Wait,
Yeah,
hang
yeah.
on, you got a job promotion and now you have creepy guy and everything's okay."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to use that offer. Um,
And then
right.
like
So
he kind of goes no, he tries to sort of deny it, and then you just take it for you just tighten the stakes and go, I've got it on computer, like
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So but that just that what you were doing was the truth. He'd
Hmm.
scratched his like that's the truth, and then you're just calling that out. You're just going, look, this is what you did. So
Yeah.
in this world that we're in now,
Yeah. If you don't want to play the story I created or proposed and you offer this, okay, I'll play with that, but I don't have to yes and just lie down on the stage for you to mime sex with. Because in the circle of possibilities is STDs. But I think it also shows that he made the offer not to inspire my imagination, not to move the story forward, not to contribute to what was happening between us, for us collaboratively. He introduced that so that he could get a laugh.
yeah, at the expense of his partner.
And then I'm like, okay, well, what's the obvious? You've scratched your crotch. That's the offer on deck. Okay, you want to be crotch scratching guy? Let's have at it.
That's it. Call it out, Patti.
Yep. Yeah. And then he does try to block it once he realizes
Yeah, yeah, he does. Yeah.
that I'm going to go, wait, did you do that?
Yeah.
He actually then realizes it was gross.
Mm.
And he did it to get a laugh, to make himself, to raise his
Race
status.
status. Exactly. Yeah.
So to be gross was not what he was trying to do.
Low status man.
But so now if you're going to say, no, I didn't do it, the audience is going, well, yeah, we saw you.
Yeah, yeah.
So the obvious then is, well, I have to prove that you did.
Yes. Yes.
Or we're
Yeah.
just going to argue, and that's no fun for the audience. So how can I prove it? Well, it's on tape.
The interesting thing about that too is because a little bit further down in the book it sort of says that afterwards, you were sort of talking about it afterwards, and he said that you blocked him, like you didn't yes and him. And the interesting thing is you did, because you yes anded his scratching offer.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting thing.
But in the interpretation of yes and, which is, and I will add to what you've said, which is, come here, let's have sex. And I'm going to say, yes, we'll have sex. And my next offer is going to move sex forward.
Yeah, yeah.
you know, that's not the correct interpretation of yes and he was defending himself with it because that's what he believes yes and to be. But the power and control in that, instead of
Mm.
coming on stage to accept my offers, to stimulate my imagination, to make your partner look good, he came on in a bar with a bunch of drunk guys to make me look bad, to sexualize me, to block my offers, and to put me into a vulnerable situation in an environment that's already vulnerable for women.
Yeah.
Well, I've done this enough that sorry, you don't have the right to do that to me.
Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah,
if you're not
totally.
going to play if you're not going to play fair ball, then I don't have to either. But my impro instincts are so strong. It's like, okay, you rubbed your crotch. That's the thing we're using now. Should I get the hose and hose you down before we have sex? Like, hold on, take off your pants. I'll get the magnifying glass.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
if
Yeah.
if you want to play that, all right. But if you think I'm just going to do what you tell me to do so that you can control me, you haven't learned the circle of possibilities.
Yeah, totally, totally. It's such a good example. It's such a good example. And it's also an example of like whether it's conscious or unconscious that, people can put people in a really fucked up situation, by not
Yeah.
being aware, like by not, I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? Like it's just weird. Like that somebody would be that, just make themselves look that shit. I don't know. I just,
Yeah, the subconscious part is people reacting to fear and stress and panic.
mm,
So they've been taught that improvisation is about being funny, and you have to be funny, and you have to get a joke, you have to get a laugh. So in that heightened panic state, they will do anything to get a reaction.
yeah.
Keith talks about an improviser on stage that picked his nose and the audience laughed, but it was like 5 people laughed, and then next week the improviser did the same thing, and in notes Keith said, "Do you really want to be known as the nose picking improviser? Is it?" But for some people, they believe that that's what they need to do. They have to get the laugh at all costs. So they throw their partners under the comedy bus.
Mm.
And I really worry for those people because they've encountered people who haven't helped them learn. And I'm being careful with my words there because I don't think like there's some teachers who are learning how to teach. So they may not be aware of how their words are being heard. There's some teachers who are fully aware of how they teach, and that's what they believe improvisation is. And then there's, a wide range of people in between.
Yeah.
But the end result is I'm seeing a person in panic and in survival mode, which is why he blocked me back. Like when I said, did you rub your crotch? And he blocked me.
Yeah.
Because he was in a survival panic mode. If he said, yeah, I did, I'd be going, okay, right, maybe you missed what I said in the opening offer, or you came in with an idea and you just weren't paying attention.
Mm.
So now there's a different way we're playing.
Yeah.
It's going to be about that. And I'm going to, get the rubber gloves and tweezers and, whatever. But his reaction of, no, I didn't, made me go, okay, right. Right, you're in survival mode. Yeah, and some people will. And then there's other people who I've seen people very bluntly and with purpose really belittle people they're on stage with so that they look good. That's not on.
Yeah, it's sad, man. I mean, it's all about status and power, but anyway. Yeah. So that's an example of like within a scene, like calling it out, but it looks like it's part of the action, like part of the scene. But there's also like a meta thing going on here. Okay, fine, I'm going to call it out. You just fucking scratch it. You just put me in this position. You know what I mean? So there's that. But then there's also the other call it out, Patti, which I've seen quite a bit in the Our Play with Joe Bill. And there's one that you do in Dubai. I think it's a festival, and it's in a cafe. It's a cafe scene, so it's a stranger's scene in a cafe. And you just start having a normal sort of conversation with each other. But he says that he's overshared or something. He says to you, I've overshared. And then you call him out on it and basically say that he's making an assumption about your boundaries. It's the character saying it, but it's really interesting. It's a really, really interesting scene, that scene. Because there's a lot of really interesting, and you were saying before about questions in scenes and stuff. There's heaps of questions in that scene, but they're really, really interesting, good questions. And as somebody who's sort of watching it, I'm kind of going, wow, it's almost like she's calling out the character, and she's also calling out what's going on stage. So yeah, it's really, really interesting, and it makes me wonder, and it's probably a really, really strange question to ask, and I don't know if anyone's asked you this question before, but have you done or do you know about NLP?
Oh, yes. Someone was talking about this the other day. Sorry, it's something that's just crossed my path recently, but I don't know a lot about it.
You haven't. Oh my God, because you're like the most natural person in the world. So I don't know if you know much about it, but NLP is like it's called neuro-linguistic programming. It's a shit name. It was developed in the 70s, so there was computers and shit. Oh, it'd be really cool if we call it programming, because of computers. I would prefer to say patterning. So it's neuro-linguistic patterning. So the patterns in your brain, or the patterns of verbals, or the patterns, the way we think. And a lot of what you talk about is about breaking patterns. And a lot of NLP speaks about breaking patterns, and a lot of stuff in NLP, don't get me wrong, like it has a really bad rap. Like a lot of assholes do NLP, like a lot of assholes, right? Because a lot of people try and pick women up in bars and shit. Like it's kind of like a waking hypnosis type, sort of the way you speak and all this stuff, right?
Oh, wow.
But if you're a creative person, I mean, NLP is mind-blowing, okay? Like the way that it can make you think about possibility and think about changing patterns of behavior, or patterns of speaking, or patterns of being. And it's really, really interesting, because you're like this natural NLP master, but you don't know it. So part of that is like calling out. So when I just call out Patti, it's like you're in a scene, and then you're calling out your partner in the scene, but then you're also calling out your partner as the actor. So there's a meta that's going on as well as the actual scene that's going on. And the questions that you choose to use are like things like how and what, which those questions elicit interesting answers. Whereas sometimes why is a bad question to ask, because people get defensive, like with the question why. Whereas like how and what is like a process question, like and you do this like so in that scene, in the thing, I've written down a couple of them because they're so good. So how do you know where the line is? So he's talking about there's a line, and then you say, how do you know where the line is, right?
Yeah.
And then he's just like, what? And then he said, oh, I have to, whatever. And he said, is it a have to? Like, and then there was another one that was, what if there is just the meaning? And then there's this bit where, and this really gets me, he starts talking about that someone comes up with an is and an are, like being in the moment, what is, what are. And then you say, are you an is or an are? And then he says to you, he reveals his inner monologue, and he says to you, I really want to do a pirate joke right now, like because of the are. And then you said, yeah, it proves to me that you're not an is. And that whole like calling it out, as in that means you're in your head. But I'm saying that's so natural for you to do, like, and you do that in scenes. I've seen you do that in scenes, and it just made me curious, like, if you know about an NLP or something, because it's kind of like it's also like metacognition, so thinking about thinking. So
Oh,
how do
wow.
you think about thinking?
Yeah,
Um,
it's not an NLP thing. It's again comes back kind of to the training with
right.
Keith, because it's uh, what would the audience want to know? Where would the audience, what is the audience interested in? So, what's the pattern? Break it. Whose scene is it? Whose story is it? What are the questions the audience wants answered? Be changed and affected. These are kind of the things. And Joe and I play very truthfully, very,
Mm,
we've got just a tremendous amount of support for each other and love for each other. And we keep each other honest in the
yeah.
scenes.
Yeah.
So if Joe goes off into
I've noticed you do this.
Phyllis,
Yeah, yeah.
if he goes philosophical and he's off and running with something,
Yeah.
he enjoys that, and it's like great. But what's the point of it for the audience, or what's the point of it for these characters, or why is that interesting in this scene?
Yeah, I've seen you again call him out, especially on that type of thing. Like call him
Mm,
into this back into the scene. Like call him back into the
mm.
scene. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's
So
so smart. Like he's so smart.
yes.
He's just such a
Oh my
smart
God.
guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it's great when he goes off on those things because he is so smart.
yeah.
So if he goes off on it, is it Joe, taking a
Yes.
little journey off somewhere? Or is
Yeah,
it the character? And if it's
yeah,
the character, how is this useful for that character, my character, or our characters? Or was it just a happy little jaunt off somewhere and now we need to bring it back? All of those are possibilities. So my job is to listen.
yeah.
It in in what he's saying, what is he saying? And that's not just the words, that's his body, that's his emotion, that's his eye contact. Is he on the far side of the stage when he did it, or is he coming close to me? Is he pacing? Is he still? Um, does it have anything to do with what we were talking about, or is it a tangent? Is it a tangent with a point? Is it a tangent we need to find the point? All of these things are possibilities. So when he's in that mode, I'm trying to take in everything.
Mm.
Has his status dropped? Or lifted? Has he changed? Is there any emotional reveal? Because he might be saying, I believe this, but his body language is saying he's not
Yeah.
confident.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And
And
then
the
as
audience
I'm
will
sure I've
pick up
seen this
that.
before, you call him out on his stance. So he'll be saying something that's in opposition to his body or his stance or his breathing or something like that, and then you'll call him out on it. I've seen you do that before.
Yeah, I'm using the offer more so than calling it out. I'm using the offer. So if
Yeah.
he's professing something that he really believes in, but he's pacing back and forth and not looking at me,
Mm.
the audience will notice that he's not as confident as he's trying to pretend he is. So I can either be totally wowed by him and let him think he's got away with it, or I can, say, do you believe what you're saying?
Mm.
Because he's created the mystery in the audience's mind that he may not believe himself. And they're
Yeah.
interested in that.
Yeah. But again, by you calling it out though, and I know you probably don't like me saying calling out, but too bad. Um, but by you calling it out though, like the actual call out is an offer
Yes.
for him then to go into the possibility. Do I really believe this or do I not believe this or what? And what ramification is that? Like
Yeah.
in this space or in this scene or in the relationship sort of
It's
thing.
an opportunity for his character to be changed.
Yeah.
So he's created a pattern, which is the
Mm.
monologue. But in the pattern, there was a conflicting verbal to physical or verbal to emotion.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, so how do we break the pattern? Someone needs to be changed. I could be changed by it, or I could have him be changed by it. I can ask a question, and if he's not changed, I can be changed by him not being changed. But why was that important in our play? If the playwright wrote that in, why?
Yeah, what's the purpose? Yeah.
And we need to find that, and it's going to reveal when we have someone be changed or we find the why for it.
Yeah, it's really interesting
Yeah.
because that's I love that concept of the why. I mean, like I said, it's not the greatest question to ask someone why, but to be aware of it yourself, why, it takes you, I guess, deeper into the character or deeper into the scene.
Yeah. If you ask a character why are they saying that, more than likely you're going to get backstory or
Yeah, exactly.
explanation or exposition.
Yeah.
What you want is, now that I've heard that,
Yeah.
how does it affect now?
How exactly? So how is a process question as well? Like it's not a defense. Like you said, the why brings all sorts of exposition. Like that's what the why does. But it's interesting because you just do it so bloody naturally. Like that's why I thought for sure she's done NLP or something, because they're always hounding you to ask like how questions or what questions for process. So people give you a step process of their thought process on that, rather than excuses, which is why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's training with Keith.
Right.
Those would be the side coaching things that he would be saying. Ask this. Did you notice they just did that? How does it affect the scene? How does it affect you? How does it affect them? Whose scene is it? Whose story is it? What do you think the audience is curious about right now? What is the audience wanting revealed? What's going to move the story forward? What's going to create change?
Great questions. Such great questions.
And when you start looking at that instead of add information, I mean, asking the question is adding information.
No, I mean him asking those questions, like him asking those questions of you, like what great questions to ask.
Yeah. But it stimulates me to look at what we're creating and how we're creating it and why we're creating it and what we're creating. And and some of that sunk in because that it's just an organic thing to do. What is needed in this scene right now? And one thing that Joe and I do in our play is we never talk about our play till like 5 minutes before we go on.
Right.
And each time we do it, we give ourselves a new challenge or a new focus on what we're doing.
Right.
Often what we do is if we're at a festival, we'll say, okay, so here's all these festival shows. What hasn't happened on stage yet?
Wow.
So if there's been a festival where there's been a lot of long form and it's been quite dramatic, we'll try to go elsewhere. If there's been something that's been very comedy based, we'll try to go elsewhere. Once in Finland, it's the only time we've done this, we did the same scene as if it was 3 different playwrights.
Cool.
Playwrights or era time periods. And I was a high-powered lawyer and he was my deputy lawyer assistant.
Yeah.
And the first scene was really him trying to get my job kind of thing, and me being very aware and very I had to be really cunning to get this job, so I'm very aware of people who have set high goals. The second scene, we just went to Goofy Town and at some point ended up just trying to name every board game we possibly could within the context of this lawyer scene. And then the third one, landed in a more truthful, realistic play. And as we were doing it, I was going, ooh, this is a play that feels like it was set in the 20s or 30s. And in the first scene, I said something like, it's a murder trial, and I don't know, like it was impossible odds to get this person off.
Yeah.
And in the last scene, as it was happening, I went, oh, wow. Oh, I think I know what this scene is about. But we just kept playing the scene. And at the end of the scene, we went off stage, and Joe looked at me and he said, that was a scene about racism, wasn't it? That your client is Black. And the reason that the jury has already made their decision and it's an impossible case is because he's Black. And it's exactly what I had been feeling in the scene.
Wow.
And we never mentioned it. We never labeled it. It was all impression and tone. But sometimes things like that happen between Joe and I, and it's like,
yeah.
But that was one that we just did 3 scenes, and it was very different to any other our play that we've done.
Yeah. But again, it's just, you guys being in that place of possibility and going, okay, just because it's never been like that doesn't mean it can't be.
Yep. We started one in Vancouver where we actually went on stage and went, well, normally we start the show by asking each other what hasn't happened at the festival. And this festival has had everything. So what do you want to see us do? And they gave us 5 things like run around the stage a lot or play multiple characters. Like it was something like that. And it just became its thing based on that.
Yeah.
But we really try to connect to the honest and the obvious and the truthful, and then just trust each other from there, which is at it's the heart of what Keith teaches, and it's the heart of what Del teaches, and the heart of what Viola teaches. Yeah.
It's beautiful to watch.
Thank you.
Really, really, really beautiful to watch. Great. If anyone, just put in our play, Patti Stiles, Joe Bill, and it'll come up in the search, because it's pretty amazing stuff. Okay, I'm really aware of time now. So and I just didn't expect this to go so long, because it's just amazing, and I'd be doing this forever if I could, but alas. Okay, so yeah, I mean, so sort of circling around and back and through and inside. Yeah. I feel like we're sort of orbiting around sort of awareness and truth and presence and kindness and humanity. These are the kind of words that are sort of sticking out to me about the conversation that we've had and what your intentions are. You said something earlier about, your parents instilling in you about being a human first, and I think that's something definitely we could take into improv, like just be a good person. All right. And then, just as a person, be an asshole character if you want, but be infused with the goodness of humanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because I mean, we do need asshole characters. We
totally
need our villains.
Love them.
But the more that we have, people being kind and aware of each other, and you don't have to be each other's best friends, but we do have to meet in a professional space that we understand how we work, and that when we say, I've got your back, or make your partner look good, or look after each other, we actually mean it. And what does it mean we mean it? What are the actual steps in that? And that's inspiring your partner. That's watching for their body language to see if you've made an offer that's inspiring or not inspiring. Because you could say to someone, do you want to go to the brothel? And if they go, what?
Yeah.
And it's not it's not a comedy reaction. It's you just see something
Yeah,
cross their
yeah, yeah,
eyes.
yeah,
You could say, or church, we could go to church, or how about the rowboat? Or would you like a picnic? And you could just rattle
yeah,
20 offers
yeah, yeah.
because you don't have
Can
to stop at that one.
can I ask you a hard question though here? I mean,
Okay.
this is natural for you, okay? Like to be able to see someone and see their reaction and their body language and the quick flicker in their eye is a natural talent and also a learnt talent and skill over time, right?
Mm.
I almost feel like some people don't have that ability to be able to do that. I think that it can be taught.
Mm.
But how would you teach someone that skill? Because I like obviously it stands to reason that that's what you want. You want people to inspire the other person. You want them to be aware that the other person's inspired. You want them to see the sort of almost imperceptible step back.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to see that. But not everybody does. And I mean, I don't know whether it's just because they're in their own mind and they're like, oh, and they're not sort of present with the other person. But yeah, is there some way to teach that as a skill? Because it's very fine, it's a very fine-grained thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think you were just touching on it, which is, really being present. And if we're teaching improvisation about what you have to do, what you have to achieve, if we're putting improvisers into the future, or we're building up fear or stress or pressure, it's really hard to have people just trust the organic moment and be present in the moment. And when we start getting fearful or worried or thinking ahead, we turn off our receptors because we're up in our intellect thinking.
Yeah.
So we need to give people the space and the permission and the trust to be in the moment, to really be present in the moment, and to be curious about our partner, and to be looking for all the possibilities. So because I'm watching for the physical offer, the emotional offer, I'm watching to see, if you nod, if you flick your hair, if your shoulders go up, which way you turn, because those are all possibilities in the scene. And if I'm paying attention to all of that, I will notice when my partner I see the person behind the performer. When I see someone go, oh, I don't want to go to the vet because that's
Yeah.
right. And not always, we just try our best.
Yeah.
But you have the possibility of seeing it. And then I can change the offer because the audience doesn't know what I've seen.
Yeah. And they don't know the mechanics of it either. They don't know that is an offer and all that anyway. So if you want to change it, you can change it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see it in the eyes, or the breaking of the eye contact, the shoulders, the hands doing this, the pacing on the feet, the walking up stage, the voice going down. There are so many human indicators of when our partner isn't feeling confident or available or connected or committed or free or safe. And to really make your partner look good and really take care of them and really have their back, we need to train in seeing that. And some of the training of that is having someone side coach to go, did you notice that?
Did you notice that? Yeah. Yeah.
You put your arm around the chair and they moved. Now, it could be a character offer and it could be a story offer, but if you didn't see it for character or improviser or story, you didn't see it.
That's right. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And the audience did. So if someone puts the arm around you and you do this, they go, oh.
And then it's never mentioned again.
And they go, well, why?
Yeah.
Right. And that comes to having someone on the outside that's showing you and helping you to see what you're not seeing.
Mm.
And then to be on the outside watching and notes where you're hearing someone say this offer and what about this and look at that and this is when this scene fell apart and notice when this person arrived what happened when we had that third character enter and why, and so that you get the time to process the mechanics of what we're doing as well as the experience of what we're doing.
Mm.
All of that I think really feeds into it. And then playing with people who understand that level of play,
Yeah.
where when you're on stage with them, it's just like, oh, okay, there's a lot of eyes on me, and I know that anything I do, because the excitement of that, the joy of that, it's yeah, it's delicious. Derek Flores, we were doing a show called Mr. Fish and His Spooky Library of the Impro Macabre. And Derek Flores, myself, Rama Nicholas, and Liam Amor created this show. And it was basically, our tagline was, laughter is easy, fear is riskier. And what we were doing is we were playing in the world of Edgar Allan Poe and Lovecraft and Brothers Grimm. So there was this one story we were telling, and it started with Rama, as our daughter, looking at butterflies that she had in a cage. She collected butterflies. And it was kind of Victoria era. Derek was a very important doctor. And so we were building this family scene. And he, myself, wife, Rama, daughter, we were very obedient to him and his status. And then in a scene, I thought it was a non-offer. I said, darling, do you like the dress I got? It's new. And he just turned and went, you went shopping without my permission? And I said, well, I just wanted to surprise you. You left the house without me? So shopping is one thing, leaving the house, that level of dominance.
Mm.
And I was like, well, and then he turned to the audience and he said, before I knew it, my expert hands were upon her, the scalpel out of my pocket. And basically, I mean, it's Lovecraft, it's Edgar Allan Poe, it's going to get gory.
Yeah.
So he talks about, basically how he killed me. So as he's describing it, I'm doing this kind of slow motion, acting, being killed.
Yeah.
I think he actually took my skin off and hung it on a coat rack, if I remember correctly. And then,
wow.
Then Rama goes, Daddy. So we break the pattern.
Yeah.
She comes in. Where's Mom? Your mother's left us. She doesn't love you. Right? And so he's doing this. And then I just appeared standing behind Rama. And he immediately starts, I'm a ghost. And yes. Rama turns and she just looks right through me, but I just keep hovering, and slowly he goes mad, and he just, can't handle the guilt, and he goes mad. And the last part of the scene was I was playing a nurse and saying to Rama, it's good that you brought him here. He needs to be in a cage for his own protection. And her looking like she did at the butterflies.
Butterflies, yeah.
But all of that happened because I bought a new dress.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Right? But he also saw how I did it. It's like, look at me being confident.
Yeah.
And just that whole boom. Broke the pattern, broke the routine, changed and affected us. And the action of the scene just
spiraled it. Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
It still makes me tingly because it was like, oh, that was such a good move. Oh.
Yeah, it's awesome. But I mean, he to be able to see that in the moment too, he must have been very, very present too. And then that's already sort of, the platform's already been set up that you're kind of making all that, and then all of a sudden you're saying you went shopping. So he, you know, like he's just grabbed on, like he's just been present in that moment and just gone, okay, that's what it is. Yeah. That's cool. Like if I could keep going,
I know. It's so
I would.
nice to just chat with you, but
I would, right? Now, look, the thing is, and this is what I'm just going to have to put forward the invitation now for another one of these at another time, because I still haven't asked you, I still haven't spoken to you about teaching. I still haven't spoken to you about finding the story. That's just how it is, because it's improv. So,
well,
I'm going to
it
extend
would be a
that
pleasure.
invitation for another time. And also, there's just been so much in this that I want people, if they're going to watch it, like that's enough. I want people to digest what Patti said. You know what I mean? Like that. I just want you to digest that. Just take that in before, you know, we go into way more territory here. You know.
I hope I don't give them heartburn.
Or do you? So I'm gonna just do the plug. So this is the book, and it probably is like, I hope it's, I'm mirrored, so I'm looking at it going, this is the wrong way around. But anyway, it's Patti Stiles, Improvise Freely, Throw Away the Rule Book, and Unleash Your Creativity. Now, if you are a teacher, like, you need to get this book. You need to get this book. I mean, I remember, like, when I bought this and I started reading into the first chapter, and I find I would call myself quite a free thinker, but it brought up some stuff in me as a teacher. And so the thing is that, you need to read it, because even though questioning and reflection is part of my practice as a teacher, this is really going to make you question and reflect. So go out there and buy it, like, totally now. Oh my God. Yes. And then
you.
Patti, I just wanted to thank you again. As I said, it's like a wish, a dream come true for me, that I was able to talk to you and, like, get in your brain and, like, find out, things that go on in there. And yeah, congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Fantastic, really great. And yes, please do come back.
I would love that. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the kind things you said about the book. I appreciate it.
It's true. Okay. All right, I'm going to press stop on record now.
Okay.
Okay.